I know like it's super speculative, but Bitcoin price prediction. I'll start off. I think we might go to about 180K US. That would be about 160% up from the last cycle's all-time high. So if you look at that sort of regression, it's always doing less and less gains. Joe, what are your thoughts on that one?
I'll share, I guess, a bit more data behind the prediction that I have. So we use Fibonacci extensions.
Yep.
1.618 puts it at 120 US.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever done the ghost pattern, the bars pattern, where you can grab from a prior cycle and use an overlay.
Mm-hmm.
That overlays to the dollar to 120 US.
Oh wow,
which is really weird. And obviously there's diminishing returns, etc. If strategic asset reserves take place in the US, it's going to change everything.
Yeah.
And that's the number one thing that we're really watching right now, alongside other things like the MicroStrategy and Bitcoin ratios. So I think that 180K would likely be the top end. That's the 2.618 Fibonacci extension. I'm throwing out loads of numbers here
we love it.
To cross-guard myself a little bit. I think the 3.618, the absolute high end, which we have hit in past cycles, is 250K US.
Mm-hmm.
So if the strategic reserve asset gets pushed forward, I look at Polymarkets for understanding the probability. It's 60% probability of a likely case that happens. And I think it's about 30% that happens within the first 100 days of the inauguration in 20th of Jan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm watching. I throw out predictions, but then I constantly monitor against the reality, you might say, the gap between your prediction and now. So I think the base case is 120 US. I think the likely case is anywhere from 150 to 180.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the high end, if everything aligns and everyone starts piling on board with using Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset, would be up to 250 US in 2025. I know there's obviously a lot of calls of $1 million, which all the analysts start creeping out the walls when that happens.
It's good for a headline, right?
Yeah. Why did they produce content, right? Is to get clicks. So we're not stupid around that. But that's, I guess, the low, medium and high, which is probably a bit nicer for viewers to have the different levels, you might say, of if we get anywhere over 180, you should be selling aggressively on your bags.
Yeah.
Or your short to medium term holdings. Anyway.
That is probably the smarter approach, giving a low, medium, or high, other than us just
going for a single digit.
In the dark.
Trying to call it to the cent.
Speaking of
you've done pretty good though.
Yeah. Actually, interesting enough, Joe, like I've applied a pretty similar methodology. I didn't plan this, but yeah, I'm very much a fib extension guy, because you can just take a prior trend, and I think you just create levels that smart operators in the market that need, to take that, their whole objective is they need to get out, right? So they just need to commit to a level. We've seen like the fib levels, even as we've broken into a new all-time highs, we've gotten reactions off those levels. But I do think the macro is what's going to control how high we go. And that's where I really do think price targets are quite fast. But I think strategic reserve coming in, I think once the inauguration happens and the US actually announced their sort of stimulus and growth packages, the new debt ceiling being raised, which is going to happen. I think that's when we start to see, liquidity really enter in a big way. I think globally and macro speaking, if you sort of expect the world to sort of get into a phase of growth, inflation is a natural side effect, as much as people may not want to sort of accept that. Like, we will go through another phase of inflation. Bitcoin is arguably the best hedge against inflation. So again, if we're going to see a future where there's inflation again, more liquidity in the system, that spells high prices for Bitcoin. And then if we see these strategic reserves and copycat reserves in other jurisdictions, which I think will happen as well off the back of this too. Yeah, I mean, I've just been a little bit more ambitious with my fib target, and it is in that upper area. So I've chosen like 230K, and that sort of lines up as well. Look at some logarithmic regression analysis as well. But if I had to pick a zone, I think that upper tier is what you get being ambitious, right? Like, I think it's a pretty important cycle for the asset. We've got the ETFs now, so access has never been easier. And if Michael Saylor keeps buying, got to aim higher.
That's it, mate. I hope you're right.
Yeah, me too.
I hope you're right.
Me too.